Welcome back to another episode of Black and Audacious. This is Tawanda. I'm here with my two great co-hosts, Nakia and Ikate. And we have a season 2, episode 2, our first guest. She's here, she's in the building. Everyone please give an applause and welcome Jess Williams.
Welcome, Jess.
Growth and engagement, yes.
Welcome, Jess.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Before we get started, I'm going to do a little bit of an intro, a little Shannon Sharp style, of your resume. But after that, we want to learn more about you and what you're doing with the Equity Alliance. So, Jess is a self-proclaimed Nashvilleian, imported from Detroit, Michigan, and a graduate of Tennessee State University. She holds a bachelor's degree in integrated marketing communications. So she's a comms girly, just like us. Over the last 5 years, Jess has built relationships through advocacy and marketing within the Nashville nonprofit community. So I was looking at your resume and I was like, Jess is about this life. She's been about it and she's still about it. So including your work with the Lupus Foundation of America, Mid-South Chapter, and the YWCA of Nashville and Middle Tennessee, and also the Equity Alliance now. Jess is proudly one of the 2022 Nashville Black 40 Under 40 Award recipients, and a Power Woman of Color Leadership Cohort alum. So Jess, we're so happy to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Ooh, that lets me know I need to update my bio. This year, I was also a 2024 Athena Young Professional nominee as well.
Nice. Let the accolades back up.
Amazing.
Yes. So on this podcast, one of the things we do is we talk about bold ideas. We interview even bolder guests just like yourself. We talk all things pop culture and the shenanigans that come with it. And so we're going to get a lot of that, mix of that on today's episode. But before we get into the shenanigans and the pop culture of things, Jess, can you talk about and really talk with our audience about the Equity Alliance, your role within the organization, and what really excites you about the work you're doing?
Oh, yes. I love when people ask me this question because it gives me the opportunity to kind of like pop our shit a little bit, but then at the same time, it gives me the ability to be able to give other women their flowers, right? So the Equity Alliance was started in 2016 by 6 Black women with $250. That's a testament to not only our ability to be able to, Black women's ability to be scrappy with investments that we're given, but it also is a testament to our ability to be able to meet the moment and rise to the occasion and kind of like be who we are as the mouth of the South. So what we do at the Equity Alliance is we bridge the gap between culture, community, and civic engagement by fusing those things together with issue advocacy and narrative freedom to give Black people in this state the opportunity to be able to not only just take back our narratives and free our narratives, but for us to be able to show up for each other politically, socially, and everywhere in between. It gives us the ability to be able to build the life that we want at every level. The work that we do at the Equity Alliance and bridging those gaps and using those things together, we give Black people the confidence and capacity to be able to show up at the polls and choose who they want to represent their needs and their values.
I love that. What excites you the most about it, though? Like, what kind of gets you up every day to kind of do that work?
So like seeing those aha moments with Black people and having those conversations where you're making things make sense and helping them see themselves in politics and see themselves in democracy, like making a connection about like how the longshoremen going on strike can or is going to directly impact the way that we live, work, and play. We not getting no more Shein packages until they get what they need. No, we not getting no more Cambodian bundles. No, we not getting whatever is coming from Europe, whatever is coming from, that part of the world. All of that can come to a cease for us. No bananas, even aside from the glitz and the glamorous things that we like, bananas and other foods that we don't make here. You know what I'm saying? All of those things are they impact us daily. So seeing those aha moments about how the connection and like, oh, like dang, that really does impact the way I live. That really does impact the way that I work in my community. So seeing those aha moments, that's the biggest thing that excites me.
I love that. The making the connection is real. Making the connection is real. Because those DHL packages do take a while to get here, if I'm not mistaken. So
I'm waiting on one right now. Please make sure I get my package before y'all.
You had me at our Shein packages are no longer coming. Okay, because admittedly enough, I'm a Shein girl every now and again. So
they're not coming. They said when we get an agreement.
Yeah. No, you're right, because that is news that most people will scroll by because they're thinking, oh, that's not my industry or nothing to do with me. And it's like things have to get from place to place. Like it's not just out of thin air. So it does impact you in some way.
Yeah. I mean, and not only that, it's just that not only just like it's not happening for me, like it's happening in a totally different state. Affecting a totally different part of the country or happening in a totally different part of the country. And what we're also not realizing and having the conversations about is that not only are the longshoremen about to go on strike, we were just hit with a hurricane in that same area.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of different elements and layers to these things that frankly Black folks are able to connect to. Because those areas along the coastal areas, a lot of those areas are Black neighborhoods, Black districts and communities. So we're going to be directly impacted, even if they're not Black neighborhoods, they're poor, Black, brown, and working class neighborhoods. So we're going to be directly impacted by those things the most.
Yeah,
it's true. Absolutely. So thinking about being directly impacted and where we are, we're in a pretty heated political season right now. There's a lot on the line, regardless of if people realize that, feel that, or not. From your perspective and the work that you all do, why is it so important, in your opinion, for Black communities to stay involved in this voting process? And I say that because I was doing some Googling last night, and I know that we've all heard about these things, but Atlanta yesterday reported that more than 40,000 people have filed paperwork to regain eligibility from voter status. Oklahoma, 453,000 people have been removed from voter polls. North Carolina, my home state, 750,000 people who are ineligible, their voter registration statuses have been removed or in flux. And this is for a myriad of reasons. Could be because you moved, you're not really a citizen, whatever it is. But that's a lot of votes left on the table. And people need to think about that. But with that, and along with the other things, what, in your opinion, is really at stake here? What should we be really focused on? What should people be thinking about? I mean, the last day to register to vote, I believe, is the 11th of this month for a lot of places. So, like, what should people be thinking about when we think about those things?
So first, going back to, first, everything about us, this is something that I say all the time. Everything about us is tied to a policy, from the way we wear our hair, the clothes that are on our backs, the businesses that are in our neighborhoods, all of that is tied to a policy. And there's a person that has to write that policy. So wouldn't it feel good to be able to choose who that person is? So making sure, so people, what we have to understand is we have that power. So that's the first thing. That's one thing that's at stake, our power to be able to choose not only who represents us, but our body autonomy. All of that is at stake. Every freedom that we know or that we have even heard of at this moment is at stake, from our voting rights, our body autonomy, us having Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security benefits when we retire. Being able to love who we want to love, being able to live where we want to live, all of that is at stake. Us being able to educate our children effectively, keep them safe, keep educators safe at school, all of that is at stake right now. So like I said, if there is one thing that we can do, or one thing that that kind of sticks out to me, is being able to actively participate in this process, in the civic engagement, in the voting process, to be able to choose and get in front of who's making those, who's creating those laws. One thing that I always tell people all the time is like, as we go through this process and we see those connections and we see what's at stake, it is now up to us. Voting is only just one part of it. It's also up to us to be able to take the next step and being able to not only just keep ourselves politically engaged, keeping the people that are around us politically engaged, also being able to show up at those city council meetings, being able to show up at the Capitol for those committee hearings. You have the right to be in those spaces. You are not shut out of those spaces. We call the Capitol the people's house for a reason, because it is truly our house. The voter registration deadline in Tennessee is October 7th. So we have 4 more days to be able to get engaged. You have 4 more days to check your registration status. You have 4 more days to make sure that you are registered. Right now, the radical right, the radical right right now is trying to stop us at every point in being able to take back our power, in helping, or even just realizing the power that we have. So what they're doing is they're working overtime to purge people from roles. They're working overtime to intimidate immigrants and intimidate naturalized citizens to keep them away from the polls. But what we have to do on not just a grassroots level, but as a community, is make sure that we're informed and we're confident when we show up about our rights. At the Equity Alliance, we pride ourselves in saying that we're not a conduit to any political party. So we don't care who you vote for, just as long as you vote. As long as you are using your voice, using your vote as your power to make sure that you're getting what you need. It's not a matter of who you're voting for. It's a matter of what if there's a person that is going to champion your needs, champion your values, and be your voice in legislation, vote for that person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well said. And just taking pride, like you said, like, you know, our ancestors fought to be where we are today and having the right to vote. So it's like, don't take that for granted, and having that pride.
From our ancestors, there are our peers right now. Fighting for us to be able to keep the rights that we have, the little bit of rights that we have, the slither that we have. We have our peers, myself, Tequila, our brothers and sisters across the diaspora, or that are organizing immigrant communities, that are organizing the working class community. We don't just organize just Black communities, we're organizing everybody. Our goal is to build a multiracial, multi-generational democracy. It's just that we're Black people, so we know how to talk to our people.
Yeah. I love that. And you actually just walked into and twirled around and finished up the next question, which was around voter restrictions and that are being proposed across the country, the challenges. I know that the Equity Alliance has like a voter engagement hub. You also have like a little tongue-in-cheek hashtag go MF vote.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I think that's so important. So thank you for sharing your insights, Jess. Is there anything else you think that's important for the audience to know as we enter this election, or anything else?
Yes, while we are talking about voting, like I said, that is only just cranking the whip up. That's it. Whip up. There's so much more that you can do, so much more that you have to do to be able to make sure that we're holding elected officials accountable. It doesn't matter whether on what side they fall, we need to hold all of them accountable. I tell people all the time that if you want what's happening in the White House to trickle down to your house, you have to put the right people between you and the State House. That's the only way that it works. We say, of course, we build political power from the trap house to the White House. But for us, that means that we understand that democracy only works when we all have a say.
Yeah.
I love that. The trap house.
All right. Well, thanks, Jess, for dropping the gems that we all need to shine brightly in this thing. So one of the segments of our show is Who Had the Audacity. We would love to bring you into the fold of this segment. And it's really where we talk about who in the world, in politics, sports, communications, business, whatever, had the audacity to do something amazing, ridiculous, anything in between in the past week. And then we all kind of chat about that. So I'll kind of kick us off. I will not lie. My first Who Had the Audacity was Janet and the Kamala comment, but last night's vice presidential debate changed that for me. It was when Vance and Waltz were, or Walls, because the Black people like to put the T in there. We're talking about gun control as it relates to schools, and Vance said that we need to strengthen our doors and windows. And to me, it's he had the audacity to say that. And what it does for me is it triggers and reminds me that this is such a big issue. We don't know what to really do about it, if that is the resolve that we have for stopping gun violence in our country, especially when it comes to protecting people who are at school. I just think that we can reinforce infrastructure, we can increase the number of safety patrol on campus, but it goes beyond that. And to me, if we had to talk about who had the audacity this week, it was Vance during that debate, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I will have to say though, I think overall, and I'm just looking at it from a high level too. Oh, yeah. I think I was like really impressed on both sides on the amount of shared empathy that they both had for one another. I mean, you can tell that sort of connection, and like, you know, I was just really impressed by that. And I think, you know, with Waltz, like, he demonstrated, definitely he was very steady, very pragmatic in his approach, but I think he was a little nervous in kind of touching on like foreign policy and things that he wasn't necessarily as experienced on. But I will have to say, I mean, if you compare it to the presidential debate versus that debate, this one was so much more easier to navigate and understand. And also you felt that, you know, that empathy that came from both sides. And I have to give Vance his flowers when it comes to that. Although
they did a good job.
But
you have to kind of look at it like this too. It's like, that's not the job of the vice president, is not to make policy, all those things. So at the end of the day, whatever the president delegates to the VP is what they are deemed to do, right? Yes. So other than that, it's very much you know, a position where you should feel good about what they're talking about. You should feel that, you know, that shared empathy that they had around, you know, gun, you know, violence, and especially when it deals with schools. But I want to go back to what Tawanda said, like, they don't have a solution. There is a solution. There's been a solution for a very long time. I mean, this goes back to Sandy Hook. There literally was a plan in place that not even the government came up with. These were community activists were saying, this is the plan for you. Take hold of this, and this can solve this problem. But at the end of the day, most people are not willing to give, you know, go through the motions of, you have to register this. Why are these types of guns, you know, sold at X, you know, places? I mean, you can go into Walmart in various parts of this country and buy a semi-automatic weapon. That's crazy. Yeah. Why would you need that on the streets in America? We don't live in some of the areas around the world that are like literally surviving every day and then people dying on the streets by guns. So I think that there are solutions. You know, the audacity of Vance to even say like we need to make stronger doors, like, that's idiotic. Yeah. That was a really stupid comment to make. Like, stronger doors, like, are we all going to get bulletproof doors and windows now at the schools? We know that they can't afford it. Yeah, you know, especially public schools. So it's just, I think that the audacity for him to say that is just another way of just like revving up one side of the political agenda and think that that's going to be the solution, which it's not. So he did have the audacity this week with that statement, and he can have it, but that is not the solution for sure.
No.
Exactly. That's all you can say, Jess. Like, it's one of those, you just gotta roll your eyes. Like, but I think his well spoken, like he's very well spoken. That's kind of masked on like some of the rhetoric that you, like you said, Akate, and him, having this sort of divisive approach. So, yeah.
And I look at that whole thing like presidential candidates should be well spoken. I mean, I guess because they have to go on.
Compared to the president, that the Republican president candidate, like it's day and night. I'm sorry.
Like, I know it's day and night, but to me, I'm making a statement. It doesn't even matter. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Trump was freaking president for 4 years. He didn't have. You don't have to be well spoken. So bringing that into the fold as a requirement, it doesn't even matter anymore. You can really be a bumbling idiot and spew lies and things that are not, factual, and you can make it to the highest stage in the U.S.
Yeah, this is true. Welcome to the U.S. of A.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Welcome to
America with the K.
3 of them.
All right, Nakia, what do you have on the docket for who had
Well, I mean, mine is a little bit lighter than the politics. I feel like we've been on politics all this episode, but we actually shouted her out in our last season. But Fawn Weaver, who is the CEO and founder of Uncle Nearest, if you guys don't know, go Google her because she is absolutely amazing. They're now the best-selling African-American founded spirits brand of all time. And let me tell you, like, her receipts speak for themselves. I mean, she actually started her career out in PR and communication. She owned an agency, and I just love her. But last week, she actually took to Instagram to post a video, actually giving some advice to both Beyonce and LeBron James, who are the latest celebrities to join the spirits industry, as you all know. And what she said was, I do have one piece of advice. If you would like to take it, take all their money. And it was, I think what I love most about it is the fact that, in retrospect, like a lot of folks always want to pin us against each other, especially when we're entering into the same industry or the same space. And it's, it really kind of shone through that it's sort of, collaboration over competition, right? And what's so brilliant about what she did is it actually was the marketing push that she used to announce the launch of her latest Uncle Nearest Tennessee whiskey. So, I mean, just shout out to her. She then, as you all see right here, she just rides off into the sunset on the horse like the true Black and audacious boss that she is. But I just love, I think she's always pushing the boundaries, especially when it comes to marketing, but also still building that Black excellence. And she's just really a powerhouse in her respective industry. They made billionaire status, unicorn status last year. So she's just amazing. And if she's listening or hearing this, we'd love to have you on the show, girl. To our listeners, we tag her in the comments.
Who is they? Who is they? When she says take all their money, who is their money?
Meaning like all the amount of folks that buy into the whiskey business or the spirits business, all the consumers that do,
Gotcha.
And I love just her approach and just being audacious with it and trying to flip it on its coin and say, we don't have to work in competition. Like this is all like everybody can get a piece of the pie. And that is, I think, a mindset that so many of us, especially Black folks, don't have. And like you see other, races where they come together and just do amazing things. And I think she's really trying to push the envelope when it comes to that. So shout out to Fawn. I love her.
No, that's great. Hopefully, Beyonce with her new venture, it seems to be, I mean, it's advertised like crazy everywhere, especially on social media. And then, of course, LeBron, we'll see he's about to, of course, exit stage left from the NBA fairly soon. I mean, he got his wish, which was to play with his son. So we'll probably see him exit fairly soon. And he has a new venture that he can really just kind of wrap his another venture he can wrap his arms around. Of course, we know he has everything in every industry he's got his hands in. So that's great. I'm glad that she's giving out, some sound advice. That's awesome.
Ikate, what do you have on the docket?
So, talking about audacity, I think that we've all, just based on where we live, especially if you live in the Southeast, Hurricane Helene. I mean, it hit us hard, really, really hard. Had the audacity to come through and knock out, trees and buildings, and people don't have power, and water is, still shut off in some, places. My family, living in Augusta, Georgia, they still don't have power, and it's just, it's unfortunate, they're having to travel, to Atlanta to stay for a while and just go different places. Schools have been shut down, businesses have been shut down. And I think just from a comms perspective, I look at how was this, this tragedy communicated to people. You think about the communication channels, to make sure that people stay safe. The rebuilding of this is going to become a part of a political agenda, because there's a lot of recovery that's going to take years and years for a lot of these communities to recover. So I think that just looking at just putting a comms lens on it, there's the communication out to people early on to let them know, hey, you need to evacuate, or you need to do, certain things to make sure that you're safe. But what happens when you don't have a phone? You don't have the internet going on, and you're still trying to get messages out to people, especially in the aftermath, to make sure that people are able to kind of get back on their feet and, and get the resources that they need. So this hurricane, it did a number on us, especially all of us in the Southeast. And, we're still recovering and praying for everyone, especially the ones who lost their lives. And of course, the people who are just trying to get back on their feet. So it had the audacity for sure.
Jess, what about you? Who had the audacity this week? We love to know.
Oh, well, all of you took all of mine, I will say. Fawn, even what I was going to say about Fawn is, I think that, of course, Beyonce's Sir Davis is under the Moet Hennessy conglomerate. So I think what she was saying was like, don't let them put you in a corner. Take their money. Make sure you still keep your creative autonomy. Make sure you still keep your authenticity. That you make sure that you still are showing up as the unapologetic Black woman that you are. And then just aside from that, there is a politician in North Carolina. His name is Mark Robinson. So he is very special. You know how they say all skin folk ain't kin folk? He's one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Very problematic.
He has come out and said that he is a proud Black Nazi. He said that he wouldn't mind if he wished that they brought slavery back because he'd like to own a few. So he is just the audacity of a Black man who is running for the governor of North Carolina to say those things, the audacity of a Black man, period, to have those views, to be supporting someone who wouldn't, excuse my language, piss on you if you was on fire. So the audacity of being one of those people that does not have the back of your community, that's not showing up for your community and would rather be greedy and self-serving than uphold the elected office as you should.
Wow.
I mean, those bold types of statements, when they come from, those types of politicians, I truly feel that it's mental health. Like, there's no way that he would think in that manner, like even spew the words like, bring back slavery. I would like to own a few, like that type of mindset. It's like, come on, like the people that actually take him seriously, I'm more concerned about them. Like he's over in his corner doing this, like this clownish stuff. But the people that actually follow him and buy into this, like this narrative, I feel bad for them, because those are the people that we have to like go into workplaces, go into grocery stores and all these other things, day in and day out. They're harmful to us.
Yeah.
They're really harmful to our society. So the audacity for him to even say something like that, like, come on, stop it.
Your ancestors are ashamed.
Rolling.
Your mama is ashamed. It's like, who are you? Who birthed you? Who raised you?
Married to a Black woman also.
He's what? I'm sorry?
Also married to a Black woman as well. So it's like, who is around you?
Oh my goodness. That is a tragedy.
Yeah. The audacity for sure.
Well, Jess, who had the audacity actually walked us into our next little segment we have called We'll Probably Disagree. And in this segment, we just take one topic that will ruffle some feathers, and we just want to get each other's take on the issue. So I'm going to put the question out there, and I'll let whoever want to jump in the ring. But the question is, and let me preface it with this, there's been a lot of articles on this. There's a lot of fodder around this ever since around like 2016. So here we go. Could you be friends with a Trump supporter?
I could be friends with a Trump supporter. Because first of all, by the time we friends, they ain't gonna be a Trump supporter no more. Because I have to change your mind, but because I have kind of like led you to the water and you've made your own personal decision.
Right.
This man he's actually quite mental. But I think, in all seriousness though, I think that having people in your circle and just having people in your life who don't always agree with you on every level is good and is healthy. I think that it gives you the opportunity to continuously get real world perspectives, because of course, if you're around people who think like you all the time, you start to kind of groupthink, herd thinking, herd mentality, and those kind of things. So I think having people who have differing views, whether they be political views, whether they have just different views in general, morals and values, I think it's important for us to have those people and those people and personalities in our lives. If they're not harmful.
Well said. That's well said.
I agree with you on that, but I feel like that is Republican versus whatever other. I don't think that that's a Trump supporter. When someone says that they support Trump, the person, I mean, I can be in a room with Republicans. I can be in a room with, liberals, whatever the case may be. But when you say that you're a Trump supporter, you are supporting the man. And that's what I'm looking at, the man, the individual person. And when you look at what he has done and said, and how he's been so harmful to our society at large, it is very difficult for me to say to another person to say to me, oh, I support Trump. Okay, do you support the Republican Party? Or do you support Trump as a human being?
Yeah.
That's a hard pill for me to swallow, because he is not, I mean, and I say this because I have a 2-year-old, and I'm teaching my 2-year-old daughter to be a good person, to be a good human. And when someone is not a good human, I tell my daughter to stay as far away from that person as possible. That person doesn't want to play, get along, and is, this has morals and values. we do not associate with them. We do not want to, like, why would I want to put myself, and I feel like, harm's way, because what that person is spewing is not the good energy that I want in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a neighbor, a coworker, a friend that I didn't know what their, it's not even political affiliation, because like I said, I can be friends with, and we can have this, like you said, Jess, a very healthy conversation about, their point of view and my point of view. But Trump itself, he's not a good person.
Yeah.
He's been helpful.
What if people can change, Akate? Like, what if a bad human can actually change to a good human? I mean, you think about,
who's changing,
and
Trump is
all
changing.
The prison reform that she's doing. Like, I don't know if y'all watch the Kardashians, but she is doing some impactful work in the prison reform space, and a lot of the conversations that she's having with these folks that are incarcerated, they're not the same person that they were 20 years ago when they committed the crime. You know what I mean? So it's like, can people change? Like,
but Trump is.
I didn't say people can't change. I didn't say
Trump changed, and I don't think that he can change because he does not want to change. I think, yes, he did. Trump does not want to change who he is. He is okay with being ridiculous. The larger than life figure that he is, because
I think he's done a great job at that.
He's understood that, like, my power or my ability to do what I want to do is attached to me being able to keep that wow factor. So as long as he keeps people's like wow factor of what more can he do, I think that's one of the elements that kind of keeps him being, quote unquote, as successful as he thinks he is, because you have people like our own people who don't necessarily know the true place of where things come from in a sense, or whose job it is to do what, whether it be legislatively, whatever. We have people, his larger than life personality, his sex sales personality, his reality TV brand, all of these things that has become that is America's apple pie at this point. That is America's apple pie. So it's what people want to see. It's what people want to like believe in as the truth. So as long as we have that as our like daily, this is what you do, this is how you live, this is how you treat people, this is how you do, that's going to continuously be who we are.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, I think Trump is
the majority of who, when we think about the majority of who we are,
when
we look at social media, that's who we are. When we look at the news, that's who we are.
It's true. And you bring up a good point, because whenever I see, with me answering the own question that I posed, whenever I see someone with a MAGA hat on, I literally I feel something. That's visceral.
Truly who we are.
It is visceral with a MAGA hat on. I'm just like, and then I have family members who are MAGA supporters. And I guess you can't pick your family, and it's fine. But it goes back to like, what do you feel like he's done for our community for you to be riding on his coattails and saying that's who you're voting for? I think it's odd. But if you're talking about if I can be friends with a Trump supporter, it's like, if we don't talk a lot, maybe, because like it is to Ikate's point, like laddering up to the person, not the party. And we've seen a lot of Republicans denounce their support for Trump. They're like, I'm not voting for him. So it's just, I think it does lead back to that, and he's completely disgusting to me. So and he's made America a reality TV show. Like I feel like I'm watching Love and Hip Hop or something, like the political version. I don't know. I just feel like I'm watching reality TV whenever he steps on stage, whenever he addresses the nation, or when he used to address the nation, when he used to interact with global leaders. It was just ridiculous. It wasn't even respectful. And I want us to get back to that. I want us to get back to some normalcy some type of normalcy in our democracy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like those that have supported Trump or are in support of Trump, especially our people, I kind of chuck it down to just pure ignorance. And honestly, there's no room or excuse to be ignorant in this day and age where you have information as your oyster. You know, you have folks that are on the Trump bandwagon because they think about, you know, him giving tax breaks, but you're not even in the tax bracket. It's like,
get the breaks.
Hello, like, so again, you know, it's the ignorance of it all. Like, and I think for me, like, could I be friends? I feel I kind of err on the side of what Jess mentioned. Like, you know, there is an opportunity to educate, but listen, I'm tired. I am tired of being the voice to those that are ignorant.
You know what's interesting? I think that in our community, we always take that high road and say, yeah, we can be friends with them, and we can have, because it's going to give us, you know, we can have, you know, these dynamic conversations. We want to hear from the other. If you put the shoe on the other foot, if they don't want to deal with us, they're not going to deal with us.
They don't.
So I think we're always in that position where it's like, you know, we're always so forgiving and, you know, give people grace and say, oh, you know, if you're a Trump supporter, we can kumbaya together. That man didn't do anything for anyone. I'm not talking about Black people, but for anyone. He didn't do anything great for our country. You know, I mean, we're one of the most powerful countries in the world. And it's very unfortunate and scary that we would give someone political power to make decisions on our behalf. And granted, I know that the president doesn't make all the decisions. There's a lot of votes and things that have to happen between the different branches and all the things. But at the end of the day, he is the one that's representing us. And when you go over to other countries and they talk about Trump, you should hear the things that they say about us, Americans, not Black people, not this people, but Americans. It is not good. And I don't feel like we're safe when we go over that. They think they laugh at us. They make jokes about us. And it's because he's our representation. He's our talking head. So for me,
it's a no.
It's a no. It's definitely a no.
No for me, dog.
Oh, well, I know we could talk about this all day, but no, that was a good little conversation. Any listener questions? Let me check and see.
I just know I could be friends with a box of rocks if I needed to. And make them like me.
All right, we have one. For the Black and Audacious co-host, who would be your dream guest to have on the podcast?
No, I already dropped Fawn. So if you're listening, Fawn, please come on our Black and Audacious podcast. We love you so much. You are just the epitome of Black and Audacious and audacity. So tag her below.
No, that's a good one.
You have one you call today?
I'm thinking right now.
Yeah, I think like just having guests on who represent like Black and audaciousness, people we can like, just like Jess and herself, like who we can really bring on to help educate our listeners, help us think differently. Those are the type of guests I'm looking to have on. So I don't have anyone in particular, but just people who just help us move the needle further in conversation around things that are important and that matter.
You know what? Now that I think about it, and you're talking about Black and Audacious, I would love to have a conversation with Dr. Umar.
Umar Johnson? Yes. Oh, yes.
Tag him, y'all. Tag him. I'm going to invite him to be to our BWEW, and he was actually double booked. We were going to have him on a panel with, have him do a fireside chat with Dr. Raquel Martin.
He only does Black media.
We should shoot our shot. Like, y'all tag him below.
Yeah, I think that he would be a great guest to have on because I really like his perspective on every topic that's out there. And he's just, and the one thing that I love about him too is that he is for Black women. Whenever there's a conversation, there's an attack on Black women, there's a misunderstanding about Black women, he always swoops in and comes to our rescue and has the most eloquent words to say to make you understand our journey and why we are who we are today in 2024. So, Dr. Umar Johnson,
where you at?
Sir,
come on, and let's clear the air about Kiana too.
You know, and I would love to have him on. Love to have him on.
Yes, he is a good one. That is a great one. Well. That wraps yet another episode of Black and Audacious. Just before you jet, can you let us know where we can find you on social, how we can get involved with the Equity Alliance, all the good things?
Yes, you can find me on social media, Jess Lucy Will, across all platforms. You can find the Equity Alliance on Instagram and Facebook at the Equity Alliance. We are on Twitter, Equity Alliance 1. You can also make sure that you are signed up via our social media, signed up to receive our bi-weekly newsletter that we have, and make sure that you are purchasing our license plate, our all-Black license plate, the state's first all-Black license plate. When you renew your tags this year, or whenever you just, want to go up there and get your Equity Alliance tag, make sure you get it and tag us in the photo so we can repost you.
Nice.
Can we get one if we're from Georgia? Like, can I just get one? Just to put on my front.
I'm gonna send you one. I got you. I'm gonna send you one. We have to markups of them, so I'm gonna get one of the markups.
I love it. Yes.
To the Black and Audacious girls, so that they can have this in their background.
Oh my God. No, but we feel honored to have someone as Black and audacious as you on our podcast. Thank you so much, Jess. Please remember, for sure. Please remember, to those who are watching, whether it's on YouTube or you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please comment, subscribe to our channel. So thank you so much. And until we see you next time, stay Black and very audacious.
Bye, everyone.